So I want to offer my condolences to Hazrat Jibreel. And I want to offer my condolences to our living Imam, Imam Muhammad Mehdi Sahib Zaman alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jil farajum. We praise Allah. Allah, the creator of greatness, because he is the greatest. No need to debate it. Can be imitated. How else can I state it? He owns all the praises. If you like it, he made it. Source to originated. He's larger than life. No husband, no wife. The giver of mercy, the dispeller of strife. The best that won't rest all day and all night. He sees with no eyes, in darkness and light. I deserve nothing, he provides it despite. How can I repay you? Instead, I betray you. I try, I don't know why. It's so hard to stay true. Your mercy is subtle, can't anticipate you. Beyond omnipresent, nothing will outdate you. After all that I've done, how can I face you? And the darkness and lies will never erase you. You're all that I need. Nothing can replace you. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Sallallahu Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jil farajum. We forgot to do something very important. We're here luckily with the opportunity to recite Darood, to cry for Imam Hussein, to expand our knowledge and to gain the kind of benefits you can only gain as a creature of this world. But we have people who used to sit down next to us and cry, taught us about Imam Hussein, taught us about Bibi Fatima, and they're no longer with us. So let's not forget about them for another second. Please, for our deceased, the gift of Fatiha. Let's send them the blessings of 2 Qurans on behalf of all of our marhum. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Every praise to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the most beneficent, most merciful, Master of the day of judgment. I serve only you. I beseech your help in everything that I do. Keep me on the straight path, the path that is true, the path of those who have gained favors by you, not the path of those who have earned your wrath, nor those who deviated from your guided path. Surah Ikhlas, in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, most merciful. Say, Allah is the singular numeral. There's nothing but Allah you need in this world. He begets not, nor begotten is He. Allah is the only OG. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Allahu samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. Wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, most merciful. Say, Allah is the singular numeral. There's nothing but Allah you need in this world. He begets not, nor begotten is He. Allah is the only OG. May Allah send blessings on Muhammad's family. May He quickly return my living Imam to me. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jil farajum. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jil farajum. So today we're going to talk about friendship. And we aspire to be friends of our living Imam. I want to say that before we talk about friendship. We aspire to be the companions of our living Imam. We hear about Mesa Mitamar. We hear about Habib ibn Uzair. We hear about, Ammar bin Yasser. We hear about Qubay ibn Ziyad. We hear about all these companions of Hazrat Ali, of Prophet Muhammad. We aspire to be the companions of our living Imam, Imam Muhammad Mehdi Sahib Zaman alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jil farajum. Sister Sakina has a poem she wants to recite about our living Imam. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Are you ready? Here, while she finds it, Ali has a poem. You're not ready? Okay. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat.
Our living Imam, Imam Mehdi Sahib Zaman, became Imam when he was 5. Now he is the master of time. Come to us before we die. Please come to us soon. The world is at doom. Please take me with you so I can fight too. On the path that is true, I will stand beside you. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa jil farajum. It's really important that we understand An intention makes a difference. An intention makes a difference. A few years ago, it was 8th of Muharram, and I was researching on what I should speak about. And I started to look up Hazrat Abbas's children and grandchildren, the ones that survived Karbala, and see what they were after Karbala. He was, up until his generation, his whole family had been known for being the greatest warriors, right? Even, from his mother's side and from his father's side. So what happened to his children after there were no more Islamic wars? And I saw that his children, his grandchildren were two things. They were scholars and they were poets. And then I started looking into his mother's lineage, and I saw that they were known for their poetry. And then I started to pay attention to things I had already heard, and they talked about Bibi Fatima, Bibi Zainab speaking in poetry. And that's when I realized that a Shia writes poetry for the love of Allah and for love for the Ahlul Bayt. And it was a couple summers ago, I took and told my daughter Asya, I said, we're going to learn to be poets for the Ahlul Bayt. And 3 years later, I don't know if Allah accepts it, but I do know that in our house, that's something that we try to aspire for. And we didn't try to do anything extra than literally we just made the intention, right? And every time you make an intention to do something good, something great comes of it, period. If you make an intention to do something great for Imam Hussein, think about all the ridiculous things Allah's given us. Ridiculous, things we don't need, right? Things we think about, hey, it'd be nice if, and then we get it. Doesn't that happen? Now, if you, with a pure intention, ask to do something great for Imam Hussein, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? This is diverging a little bit, but before I get into my speech today, I want to tell you about a man I met recently. I met him when I was hanging out with some friends. So my friends introduced me to this guy. We met in a social setting. We started talking about, business, and we were supposed to go to lunch. And one day he was sick. And I don't want to get into the personal details, but he was having some problem. And, Imam Jafar Sadiq, if you go to imamraza.net, there's a really good page about the benefits of different surahs, right? And I found a surah that helped him out with helps him out with the type of problem he has, right? He's not a Muslim guy. I don't even know if he's Catholic, or I just barely met him, but a friend of mine was talking about him, right? And so I found they have Naqsh, like a chart summary of things. They have it for every surah. They have it for du'as. They have a daily Naqsh that you look at, and it helps, project different power energies out there, like people say. You know what I mean? It helps for your health. It helps for your wealth. Protection from enemies, good stuff like that, right? And so I found the Naqsh for this particular surah, and I gave it to him, to my friend, to give to him. So today I was talking to him, and he's like, my problem got solved. I met a man randomly who was going to solve my problem, and 10 minutes later, you sent me a text to see how I was doing. He's like, and I just want to tell you that things have the stars have never aligned for me that way until I got this prayer for this problem I was trying to deal with. So I want to know more about it. You see, that's how Allah operates. And when you ask Allah for a miracle, for something good, it's not a miracle. It's just the way things happen, right? So always keep a pure intention and always ask for good things. And if you're asking for something that maybe is taking longer than you expected, ask yourself, how's this going to be good for me, and why is this going to be good for me? And more than not, I've seen that and be a quick way to get what I want, really. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad Salawat. Today, I said I was going to talk about friendship, right? First, I want to talk about Allah's friend, Hazrat Ibrahim, right? The kalma back then was La ilaha illallah, Adam Khalilullah. That's how people would recite kalma back then. And Ibrahim Khalil. La ilaha illallah, Ibrahim Khalilullah. Thank you. I get nervous and forgetful up here. So at the time of Hazrat Ibrahim, people would say, La ilaha illallah, Ibrahim Khalilullah. Ibrahim is the friend of Allah, right? So he got this title for his devotion, dedication, love for Allah, right? He was born on Ashura. And the day that the king had thrown him into the fire, so he would burn Hazrat Ibrahim, and Hazrat Ibrahim bounced out of the fire and walked away. That was also the day of Ashura. So the link to Hazrat Ibrahim and the day of Ashura had been there, right? That's what Allah does for a friend of his. He makes sure that your important events happen on important days. So one day, Allah put the revelation of sacrificing his son into Hazrat Ibrahim. And Hazrat Ibrahim saw this and went and told his son. And his son, Hazrat Ismail, said, if Allah said this, then let's go. Let's do it. Right? This shows the dedication and the love and the nearness between both Hazrat Ibrahim and his son. And so they show up to the designated area, and as we know, Allah replaced the Hazrat Ismail with a ram, with cattle. This is the cattle that Hazrat Adam's son, Hazrat Habil, had sacrificed as the very first sadaqah. Allah saved that, fed it the grain and the grass from Jannat, and then sent it down to replace our Prophet that day on Bakr Eid, right? So Hazrat Ibrahim takes his blindfold off, and he sees his son alive, and he sees the ram, and he starts crying. Hazrat Ibrahim starts crying, and he's not crying because of joy for his son. He starts crying because he expected to see his son covered in dirt and blood and hurt so much and be so happy that he did that because Allah asked him to. And he wanted to get that acknowledgement from Allah that you did this for me. And instead he saw his son was okay and the cattle was okay. And Hazrat Ibrahim was not happy. Ya Allah, I thought we were friends. I thought we were friends, and you asked me to do this, and you're not letting me do this? Think about that. Don't you think about that when your friends do something, right? Allah, I thought you were my friend. Hazrat Ismail is confused. He sees his father, just what's going on. He's talking to his friend. This is a friend when he had left to go on, on a trip. He went out of town. He forgot to bring something back for Bibi Sarah. And Allah told him to always bring presents back when you go on a trip. So he took a sack and filled rocks in it. And the next day, Bibi Sarah went to say she was cooking food, and Hazrat Ibrahim was, "Where'd you get this food from?" He's like, "Oh, it was in the bags that you got and then you brought back from your trip. Who gave that to you?" He's like, "Oh, my friend gave that to me." You see, this is the closeness and the friendship between Hazrat Ibrahim and Allah. And so when he saw his son standing there healthy, and he saw this cattle, he started to cry. And he was upset. And sometimes you tell your friend, "Hey, it's okay. I didn't mean it that way." He was so upset. He's like, so upset. So you know what Allah did? Allah doesn't need to explain anything. Allah explained to him. He said, "My friend Ibrahim, let me ask you something. You love me and I love you, right? You love who I love, don't you? So who do I love more than you? Who is greater than you to me?" And he said, "The sealed prophets, Muhammad. The seal of your prophets, Muhammad, is greater than me." He's like, "Do you love him more than you love yourself? Like I love him more than you?" He said, "I do." He said, "Do you love your son more than you love his son? Do you?" He said, "I don't." He said, "Then how can you sacrificing your son be the greatest sacrifice? His son, being the one bloodied and cut up, needs to be the greatest sacrifice. Do you understand now?" And that is the only reason why Hazrat Ibrahim was okay with it. And he thanked Allah. And he asked Allah, he said, "Who did this? Tell me who did this to him." And he told him the name. He said, "It's Yazid son of Muawiyah." And for the first time that I've seen I didn't read that Hazrat Adam did this, nor did Hazrat Nuh, who asked his own people to be smited, right? But in what I was reading, it said that Hazrat Ibrahim asked that Allah, asked Lanat on Yazid 5 times. Lanat on Yazid, Lanat on Yazid, Yazid Viyan, right? Lanat. Lanat isn't a curse. It's worse than a curse, actually. It's saying, Allah, remove your nearness from Yazid, right? It's not saying curse him, not saying hurt him, saying, Allah, remove your nearness from Muawiyah, Lanat on Muawiyah, right? People think that she has curse. That's not at all what's going on, right? Allah, remove your nearness from the Umayyads, right? Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Is that for me? Thank you. One loud salawat. Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah sallallahu Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa jo farajum. He loved Hassan and Hussein, loved them, loved them. He said they were his sons. That didn't mean they were like his sons. I mean, they were his sons, right? There's two relationships. There's a physical relationship and there's a relationship to Allah, right? Like you have a physical relationship with your brother, your sister, your mom, but when you marry somebody, that's not a genetic relationship. It's a bond that Allah acknowledges, right? So that's why you take care of your family spiritually, you take care of them physically, right? So when Prophet Muhammad said, these are my sons, he's saying these are my sons and they're Ali's sons, right? Hazrat Ali said, no, they're your sons, right? So the Prophet Muhammad's sons, Hassan and Hussein, he would never walk by Imam Hassan's house without calling him outside and kissing him on the face. And everyone would see this, right? And he loved Imam Hussein. And he always loved this one kid. Right? He was the son of his friend Mazahir, Habib ibn Mazahir. He loved him. And he would hold him to high regard above other of his own companions. They would ask him, they would say, Prophet, why do you love this kid so much? So he pointed at him and said, here, watch this. Watch this. He's with my son Hussein right now. Watch what he does. And he would never walk in front of Imam Hussein. He would walk behind him. But the way he would walk behind him was everywhere Imam Hussein would walk, he would then look at the footsteps and follow the footsteps, literally, of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And he said, I wonder, somebody who loves Hussein this much, how much must Allah love them? And this was the best friend of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Best friend. Imagine that, right? Somebody ever call you their best friend? What kind of pride is that, best friend? Sometimes you're not expecting it, right? Hanging out with somebody like this cool guy, you've been hanging out with them a little while, and then you're with someone new is around, maybe their family, right? And they say, hey, this is my best friend. You're like, whoa, yeah, I'm his best friend. Habib ibn Mazahir was Imam Hussein's best friend. Now remember what Imam Hussein's best friend said to Hazrat Hur after he had found him in his last breath on Karbala. He said, you did it. You did better than all of us. You're Imam Hussein's best friend now. You see what the best friend of Imam Hussein is like? The humility? That's Habib ibn Mazahir. Imam Hussein was supposed to come to Kufa and never got there. Never got to Kufa. And no one knew where Imam Hussein. We know he was in Karbala. Right? Back in the day, how would you know if you lived in Kufa where he got there? You can't check on, the websites or, the internets or whatever you kids use. You know what I'm saying? Try to figure out where he is, right? There's no, was no news. In fact, Kufa was on lockdown. Nobody in or out of Kufa. Only people they were letting out were soldiers. Bring your knives, bring your blades, follow me. Other than that, nobody in or out of Kufa. No news, right? And so Imam Hussein was in Karbala since the second of Muharram, and Habib ibn Mazahir was in Kufa. And days had passed. On the third of Muharram, thousands of troops arrived. And on the fourth of Muharram, troops arrived, and every time people would come, Bibi Zainab would hear them, she'd send Fida. She'd say, please go see who's coming. And she'd go and look. She'd come back. She's like, is it anybody for my brother? And Fida would say, no. Hurmala came with 1,000 soldiers. Did somebody come for my brother? No, Umar bin Saad is here with 10,000 more soldiers. And she would ask every day, who's coming? And she would hear this and see this, and she would look at her brother. And so on 6th Muharram, she called him. She said, my brother, all these people are coming for your blood. Is anybody going to come and help you? And Imam Hussein asked her. He said, when our mother needed help, did anyone come to her? When our father needed help, did anyone come to him? When people shot arrows at our brother's casket, did anybody come to him? My sister, how could you expect anyone to come for us if they wouldn't even come then? So Bibi Zainab looks at Imam Hussein and she says, I know somebody who will come if you call him. I know somebody. Imagine the honor of this man. Imagine the character of this man. Bibi Zainab said, I know somebody who will come if you call him. did you call your friend Habib? And Imam Hussein wrote him a letter. And he sent it with, they called the postboy Qasid, right? And so he ran to Kufa, right? Delivered this letter. Habib ibn Mazar was about to eat breakfast with his wife, right? And knock on the door. And, like I said, Kufa's on lockdown, so they thought there was a danger, right? He tells his wife, he's all go cover yourself and, I'm going to open the door. He opens the door, and the guy, he's panting, and he announces, he said, Hussein sends a letter to his best friend, Habib ibn Mazar. And Habib ibn Mazar fell to the feet of this Qasid, and he started kissing his feet. Are these the feet that brought me this letter? Are these just like how he used to follow in the steps of Imam Hussein? He said, are these the feet that brought me this letter? And he kissed this kid's feet. And he took the letter and he opened it and he read it. And it said, my friend, we are in Karbala. If you can come, please join me. And if not, I will meet you in heaven. And the wife, the Qasid left. And the wife came outside. And the wife came outside and she asked him, she's like, what is that? He's rubbing the letter all over his face, rubbing it all over his body. So it's a letter from Hussein. So he takes the letter, starts doing the same, right? So what did it say? It says he's in Karbala and he wants me to come. And he wants me to fight with him to our death. She asked him, she's like, well, what are you going to do? And he said to her, like a lot of husbands, a lot of kids, a lot of people say when someone says, hey, what are you going to do? You already have your mind made up. You're like, yeah, I'm thinking about it. And she takes off her bracelet and she throws it at him and she said, give me your sword and you wear these. I'm going to go fight for Hussein. How can you be thinking about it when the letter's right here? Go. And he tells her, he said, I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about you. And she says, so he says, Habib, I will eat dirt if I need to. I will eat dirt if I need to. But how can I live in a house when Hussein calls and you don't go? So he sent his servant with a horse to go and leave the horse on the outskirts of Kufa. He was going to go there during Zohar time and leave, because most people would be at the Masjid of Kufa, the same masjid that they threw the body of Hani Urwa off of the roof. So Zohar time comes, and on the way to the horse, he runs into Muslim bin Asija. Muslim bin Asija was a very old man. Habib ibn Mazar was probably like 60 years old at this time. Imam Hussein was 56. Habib ibn Mazar was a little bit older, so he was like 60 years old. Muslim bin Asija was probably pushing 80, like maybe a little bit older than 80 even. Like they say he was such an old man, his eyebrows had grown so big that on the day of Ashura, he had to wear a bandana to pull his hair back so his eyebrows wouldn't hang over in his eyes and he couldn't see, right? And on the day of Ashura, he was actually the first martyr, was this old man. Habib ibn Mazar was commanding the left flank, and Muslim bin Asija was fighting at the left flank, and all the soldiers had retreated, except there was this one dust of sand, a cloud of sand. It looked like a whirlwind, like if you watch the cartoons when somebody spins around and the dirt comes up. It was like that, but there were soldiers of Yazid flying out of this whirlwind of dust, and everyone's watching it like, what's going on? These people are just flying out. They thought it was a mojiza, and then all of a sudden the dust started to settle, and on the floor was Muslim bin Asija, and he had been the one sending all of these enemies of Islam to hell. And as the dust settled, Habib ibn Mazar saw Muslim bin Asija on the floor. Imam Hussein ran over to him, and Muslim bin Asija called Habib ibn Mazar and said, pointed to Imam Hussein, he said, don't leave this man. Don't leave this man, and that was his demise. So Habib ibn Mazar was talking to him on his way to the horse, and he had gone late. And now when he finally got into the horse, he saw his servant was worried because it was a little bit past Zohar. And so he's bent over on the horse telling the steed, he said, don't worry, steed. If Habib doesn't make it, I will ride with you to Karbala and I will die on top of you for our master Imam Hussein. Don't you worry. And Habib ibn Mazar came and he heard this. And he told the servant, he said, I need your help. I need you to ride this horse for me all the way to Karbala. I need your help. And so he walked, and Muslim bin Asija, who was an older man, and this servant had taken turns on the horse, and they arrived in Karbala. And when they arrived in Karbala, Imam Hussein got very excited and he went to go greet. And Bibi Zainab stopped him. And she said, tell him to come see me first. Tell him to come and see me first. And so Habib ibn Mazahir got the news and he fell to the ground. He started crying. He started beating his chest. Imam Hussein said, what's wrong? He said, what must have happened? What must have gone wrong in this world where a lady like Zainab wants to talk to a man like me? What must have gone horribly wrong where she wants to talk to me? And so he met with Bibi Zainab and she bid him salam. So all she did, said salam to him. And then the day of Ashura came. The day of Ashura came, and every time Habib ibn Mazahir wanted to go and fight the troops, Imam Hussein said, no, just like he did to Hazrat Abazar, I like having you near me. I'd rather have you near me, just somebody else will go. Kept saying no. And then Zohar time approached. And he told his friend Habib, he said, my dear friend, go see if they'll let us do one last namaz. Tell them to halt the war. Go talk to Umar bin Saad. So Habib ibn Mazahir rode his horse quite some way from the camp over to where the heart of the infantry was on the other end. And he asked Umar bin Saad, so give us a reprise to do namaz right now. Let us do namaz. And Umar bin Saad says to him, he said, Hussein doesn't need to pray. His namaz isn't accepted anyways. Habib ibn Mazahir was furious. He raised his sword and he said, he's like, you think your namaz is going to get accepted when the son of the prophets won't? You think your namaz is going to get accepted when the son of the prophets won't? And he called out to him, I was saying, he said, my friend, my master, I am not going to be back. I'm going to have to say my final prayers with you in Jannat. And at this, the enemies of Islam, they started charge one by one, two by two. And this is Habib ibn Mazahir. He had fought along Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. You think you could get near him? They couldn't get near him. He kept fighting and fighting. And as he was fighting, the troops started coming around the side. Anybody who came near, slowly the army started to wrap around Habib ibn Mazahir. Didn't matter if they came from the front, from the back, it didn't matter. This was a man trained by Hazrat Ali, fought along Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam. He fought with Imam Hussein. They couldn't stop his sword. It says that a lover of Imam Mehdi has the strength of 40 people in them, right? Habib ibn Mazahir was ready to die for Bibi Fatima. He was there, right? What kind of a war did he fight? And then hundreds of soldiers surrounded him and attacked him, and just like they had to do with Hazrat Abbas, these dogs cut at his body, and they cut him up on the floor, and he laid there on the floor, and Imam Hussein ran after Habib ibn Mazahir. Zohar had ended. Zubair ibn Kain had fallen because the arrows had been shot in his body during Zohar time, and it said that Habib ibn Mazahir fought for so long they were able to do the namaz, and then he ran into the crowd, and everyone started to part, and he saw the body of Habib ibn Mazahir, and he took it in his lap, and he started to hug it. He said, oh my Habib, oh my Habib, this is the man who he wanted by his side the entire time. The one man who was showed up for him when he made the call. Oh my Habib, oh my Habib. Habib ibn Mazahir was the first man to have his head cut off in Karbala. Imam Hussein stood up. He stood up and he was looking around, looking for help to carry this body that was going to be so heavy. And one of the soldiers came off and cut off his head. He was the first man to get beheaded in Karbala. And when the Qafala left Karbala with the spears on their heads, there was a horse at the very end of the Qafala with the head dragging. It was a head dragging because this is a man from Kufa. They wanted the people of Kufa to see this head on the floor. He's the greatest warrior in Kufa. Well, here's the head of your greatest warrior being dragged on a horse. And there was a little boy that would follow this head everywhere it went. Everywhere it went, it would follow it. And one day the rider looked back. He looked back right when they entered Kufa. He looked back and said, who are you, little boy? Why are you following me? He said, that head that you're dragging is my father. That's my father's head that you're dragging. Bibi Zainab heard this. Imam Zainul Abidin heard this, and Bibi Zainab turned around and she had to call loudly so he could hear in the back of the Qafala. She said, hey child, You're the son of Habib ibn Mazahir? And the entire caravan heard this. And he answers, he's like, yes, my mistress. This is my father. She said, where's your mother? Where is your mother? And this question resonated in the city of Kufa. And one lady stood up in her balcony. She said, I am the mother. I am his mother. I am the wife of Habib ibn Mazahir. So I can't see you, my lady. And my eyes are closed because I can't bear to see you without your hijab. So please forgive me. My eyes are closed as I speak to you. And she said, I've been looking for you since the day of Ashura. I've been looking for you since the day of Ashura to give you my condolences on your great husband Habib, who was the best friend of my brother Hussein, who stood for the religion of my grandfather. I offer you condolences. And to this, the wife of Habib ibn Mazahir fell to the floor and started weeping. She said, my lady Zainab, you give me condolences for him. Who's going to give you condolences for Hussein? Instead of condolences, you get whipped, you get chained, you get your hijab snatched away. Allah, please, for the sake of these tears that we cry for Imam Hussein, for the greatest sacrifice, for the friend of Imam Hussein. We talked about your friend today, Hazrat Ibrahim. Each one of us here desires in our hearts to be the friend of Imam Muhammad Mehdi Sahib Usman alayhi salam. Ya Allah, give us that opportunity. Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat.